Board members, staff, guests, and members of the public are reminded that the full authority board meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the authority's website along with the official written minutes. As such, comments and opinions expressed may be published, and any comments expressed by individual board members, guests, and the general public are their own and do not represent the opinions or comments of the full authority or the KCCA Board of Directors. The recorded video of the full authority meeting is not considered the official record of that meeting. The official record of the full authority meeting shall consist solely of the minutes approved by the full authority. Okay. First up is minutes of the meeting of October 17th.
I'll move.
Moved by Linda, second by Ralph. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Matters arising. First up, we have our project tracking report.
Mr. Chair and staff continue to be busy. A number of schoolyard tree plantings Betsy undertook throughout the watershed this fall. Some large stock trees going in our schoolyards. Last night, Betsy was also busy. She did a presentation to the 100 people who cared. Her environmental youth corps was shortlisted, and with 3 other projects to present in front of the 100 people who care. So if you're not familiar with this, 100 people come in with $100 for local charities, make a presentation on a project, and at the end of the night, 100 people vote for which project they think is worthy of $10,000, and you walk away that night with $10,000. So Betsy did her presentation. Unfortunately, she didn't triumph last night, but I think if anything, it gets the Environmental Youth Corps more publicity, and she made a number of connections with local schools and other charities last night as well. So we'll continue to work to try to make that program a permanent program on the landscape district.
Okay, and before we go farther, I jumped over to one part. Is there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Bill?
It's not a declaration, but I wonder if I might add an item to new business.
Okay.
So it would be item D, and just call it a presentation.
Sorry?
Presentation
A
of,
staff presentation.
Okay.
thank you.
And Ian, you have one on the closed session? Okay, thank you. Did you want to go on the project tracking resolution on that?
If I could, Mr. Chair, there's no real report on the media coverage either, unless members have questions of what went on in advance. I'd be looking for a motion to accept both the project tracking and the media report.
Moved by Bill, seconded by Ian. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. And so we have our watershed conditions report.
Mr. Chair, just some highlights. The water levels of Lake Erie remain higher than normal and are fluctuating with storm events. So you'll see a number of news releases that went out just warning people of those high water levels and the effects that wind conditions can have down at the lake, specifically for Port Stanley. So there was a couple of water safety bulletins that went out over the past month. And staff will be doing various meetings leading up to the flood season with neighboring authorities and personnel preparing for the flood season.
Questions or comments? I will say that with the water levels, the storms that we've had over the last little bit have been tremendous. There's lots of pictures out there in the social media if you haven't seen them. But the water was shooting as high as the lighthouse itself. So it was quite the thing to watch. And a lot of debris has hit the shore. And when I say debris, I'm talking large logs. So on the watershed conditions report, if there's nothing else, kind of a mover and seconder. Max and Linda. All in favor? That's carried. And then we have our correspondence.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, there's item D, the City of St. Thomas
Yes.
Environmental Stewardship Committee appointment. So Betsy McClure has been sitting on, has been the KCCA representative on that stewardship committee for the past year. They're looking for another appointment for the coming year. So it'd be my recommendation that we reappoint Betsy McClure to that Environmental Stewardship Committee.
I'll move that.
Linda, Ralph, anything further? See none, all in favor? That's carried. There's no statement of revenues and expenses. So our correspondence then?
There's no additional correspondence then, other than the letter that was put out in the advance package from the Honorable Bob Phillips, just in recognition of our new administrative bylaw.
Any questions or comments, Linda?
Just on, I hope I'm in the right spot. The fish count down on Lake Margaret, did staff have any comment on that? I know we haven't had a full discussion at the council table on it, but have you had a chance to look over the report, and are there any comments back from staff?
Mr. Chair, let Betsy answer that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Linda. We haven't received the report yet. It should be coming soon. So I can't really comment too much. They only found 4 species during the day, so I do know that. But as far as the actual abundance or size classes, I don't really have the full data on that. So as soon as that comes in, I'm sure you'll see the council, and we'll bring it forward to the board just for information as well.
That would be good, and I appreciate that, because we have a number of individuals who are looking to fish out of there. And I'm thinking it's a little too early for anything to even thought of that. So having an analysis or
Yeah.
whatever would be great. Would be great for the entire council.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything further? Okay, mover and seconder on the correspondence then? Bill? Max? All in favor? And that's carried. Under new business, and we have our year-end reserve report.
Mr. Chair, the year-end reserve report, we do expect a positive year-end position after all the operational capital expenses are submitted at the year-end. Mainly that position is a result of an excellent camping season, as well as some staff vacancies that we've had for wage savings. The other thing to recall is at the end of the year, we will be establishing that new conservation lands management reserve. There's a motion on the books that we use the roughly $30,000 that came out of the forest management to establish that reserve. Otherwise, it's my recommendation that any unspent or surplus funds at the end of the year be directed to the wage subsidy reserve, the capital reserves, and legal reserves. Normally, I'd like to give you an indication of how much money is hitting each one of those reserves, but because of no meeting in December, I'm asking for direction that basically I direct the funds to those 3 reserves. The actual year-end statements will be reviewed by the new board when they sit in January. So it would be very much in keeping with what's budgeted at this time. It's just giving me direction to proceed.
Questions? Yourself?
You, Mr. Chair. The report suggests that the majority of the funds came from the camping season's revenues. How much of the positive position comes from funds from municipalities?
I would say none, other than the wage subsidies. I'd have to do the breakdown once I see particularly the November statements. I'd have a better indication of what that would finally be.
Because in past years, I've certainly spoken that monies that the municipalities contribute to the Conservation Authority, if not spent, should be either asked to be reused or returned. And the argument that staff have put forward is that the majority of those revenues are from revenues from campgrounds. And that's a struggle with me, how to deal with that, so I'd be curious to know the breakdown of the two. And because I still believe that monies that are contributed by municipalities should either be asked to be reused or returned. And I don't change that position. But if there are revenues that are generated from the campgrounds and no contribution from municipalities for that, that's a different story. But without knowing that, it's difficult to move forward.
Further, Linda?
So, on page 28 of 38, year-end transfer to reserves. Would you mind just commenting on the 3 bullets that you've got there?
In terms of the reserve to support the conservation lands.
Yes, thank you.
So that was, again, a board motion FA 58/2018 that was passed earlier in the year. Those funds specifically are roughly $30,000 that came out of the forest management project that you undertook on the Dalewood, Dan Patterson track. So it was a pilot project where you went in and logged that area for the first time for best forestry management. The results of that is $30,000 being come to the authority. There was a report and a motion on the books that those funds be directed to a CA lands management reserve. And the reserve would support the following activities: retaining a registered professional forester, and this would be to look at other management prescription plans and best management practices for the other forest tracts that we do own. Looking at taking this beyond a pilot project and looking at a more permanent project or ongoing project for other properties. The retention of the seasonal staff and professional services. So there is a lot that we, beyond just logging the properties, there's a lot more that the CA can be doing on our lands to protect them from invasive species, such as buckthorn. So that those funds could be directed to hiring staff or professional services to help undertake some of those works on our land. Or those funds could be used to install signage or providing educational opportunities in terms of promoting good forestry management practices as well. So again, those funds specifically were directed to those 3 purposes in a previous motion of the board.
Just further to that, and I apologize because I think I missed that meeting due to a medical appointment. On that, were we looking at this becoming a permanent line at some point in time, or this would always be topped up with reserves if there's something left over for these items that you listed out here?
I think the idea was to use the funds that were coming off of our lands to put the funds back into our lands. And staff are to come back to you with a full report in terms of how we would undertake those and where the funds would come from.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Further questions? On the recommendation, do I have a mover and seconder? Bill and Ian? Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Work plan.
Mr. Chair, so these are the final 2 reports of the budget 2019 in terms of looking at the individual departments and what is planned for 2019 within the budget, as well as some strategic thinking into the future as well. So the first one that we have scheduled this morning is Mary Ann for public relations. Morning.
So I'll jump right in and review the season and also for what's to come. It's been a busy one and a lot has been accomplished. So to start, we'll go over the 2016 to 2018 special projects and enhancements. So this year, we released the watershed report card. So it was scheduled for release on March 22nd, which is also World Water Day. The report card was a collaboration between KCCA and also Conservation Ontario. Their part was to provide us with a template, so all CAs had a consistent look. Through that, we created the watershed report card in-house and also chose to add a fourth element to the document, which is the wetland cover. And 250 copies were printed and distributed throughout member municipalities, schools, and also to Conservation Ontario. And a digital copy is also available. Moving forward, we launched the trail guide. So this was one of the first projects I worked on upon arrival. So 2,500 copies were produced. 1,500 copies have already been circulated, so that includes the KCCA campgrounds, local libraries, and tourism attractions and offices. And an electronic copy is also available online. So on the website, if you go to the hiking section, you can find a digital copy of this and all the maps. So the trail guide includes maps of all of our trails, so they're now updated, new content, and also some of the different amenities that we have at our CAs. So our campgrounds and hiking trails. So for example, Lake Whitaker, we have a fishing section. So we talk about some of the fish that are in the water and also how you can actually get fishing gear. Next is the Dan Patterson Trail sign. So the sign was created and installed in June with the launch happening on June 20th. We also created 3 new educational signs that are featured along the old growth trail. So that's a new addition to the trail. So it features the plants, trees, and also the birds that you'll find when you're on the hiking trail. The original sign that was there at Dan Patterson has been repurposed, an overlay has been added, and now it's in the wetland trail. So we've got some additional signage along the trail. And it just kind of enhances along as you hike. So the trail launch complemented the installation. So this picture was taken the day of the trail launch. So once again, June 20th, and we had invited members of the public to join us. So groups like the Elgin Hiking Club, the St. Thomas Mountain Bike Club, and Nature London joined us. So these 2 fellows that are featured in the picture are from Nature London and the Elgin Hiking Club. And so we had 20 people in attendance, and there was an interactive guided hike that followed our ribbon cutting ceremony. So the trail launch also celebrated our release of the new trail guide. So there was kind of two things to celebrate that day. And so the old growth trail can be found at Dan Patterson, and it was just the celebration of the reopening and the new additions. Next is our social media. So social media, we saw on Facebook that we have now over 1,000 likes and a growth of 40%, and an average reach of 60 likes. So for those who don't know, the reach is how many people on average see our posts. So every time we post, an average of 800 people see what KCCA is posting. On Twitter, we have over 1,200 followers, a 6% growth, and 3,600 profile views in 2018. And on our Instagram, 778 followers. So we are social. If you aren't following us, our handle is Kettle Creek CA across all of our platforms. And I also want to point out our hashtag Love My Watershed, so something that we continuously post. So if you're ever curious to see who is posting, other people might share the Love My Watershed, search that hashtag, and any post that has that handle will come up. So Facebook is definitely our fastest growing and most engaging account that we have. So as our audience continues to grow, it's important that we continue to deliver engaging content that creates an online conversation and interest. So shares, likes, and comments are also important because they continue to enhance our digital presence. So a like goes a long way, a comment goes even further, and a share helps us to spread the message. So I wanted to go over some of the best of 2018. So the first post this year was back in February. So it was a flood warning media release. And so as you can see, over 4,500 people were reached through this post. We had over 140 reactions, which could be a like, a comment, or a share, and then 655 post clicks. So that's important because it leads them back to our website, and the hope is once they're there, they'll continue to look. The next is our administrative assistant posting, and that had over 4,400 people that were reached, 73 reactions, and 486 post clicks. So what's important about both of these posts is these are organic. So organic means that none of these posts were boosted with money. This was just purely we posted, people reshared, people found it engaging, and so the reach was done without any cost to the authority. And then once again on Twitter, I put our top 3 of the year. So video footage from St. Thomas, Highbury Ave, Mapleton line at 4:30 p.m. today. Water is running fast and cold, please stay away from waterways. That was a tweet that went out on the 29th, over 10,000 impressions, so that's the first column. So that means 10,000 people saw that on their feed at one point when we had tweeted it. The following one is KCCA is celebrating the launch of the restored Dan Patterson Trail tomorrow. Join us for a first look. Over 3,000, and then the UAV photo that we had taken of Port Stanley at Hawkscliff had over 5,000 impressions. And next is Facebook advertisement, something that we implemented this year. So we put $150 into the budget, posted 4 Facebook ads, and it reached over 21,000 people, over 1,300 link clicks, 161 reactions, and 23 new followers. So on the left, you can actually see the analytics, and on the right, you'll find the post. So great results, and for a minimal cost. So special projects and enhancements for 2019. Community partnerships. So how can we continue to stand out in the community? First is outreach, partnering with local libraries in the Kettle Creek watershed to deliver on-site programming. These are low cost and no cost opportunities where we can continue to enhance our presence. So the idea would be that we would maybe bring in programming, some hands-on activities for students or for children when they sign up, bring them to the library, and then we pair that with maybe an environmental display at the libraries, and the hope is to reach a new audience and hopefully inspire families to maybe consider visiting one of our campgrounds or going on a hike. The next is networking with, and I hope to do that through the Southwestern Ontario Tourism Conference. So this is a great way to meet local businesses and attractions in our watershed that might be interested in partnering in the future. And the final is community partnerships and how we can leverage that further. So how can we leverage our investment? We already do tourism marketing with Elgin County Tourism, but is there anything that we can do further to maybe enhance our presence in the display, in their tourism book, or any additional marketing that we can do with them. So these are great partnerships, and these are opportunities that we can, and resources that we should use to leverage our presence and enhance our presence within the community.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
The health unit is also really advertising the trail system and that kind of thing. Are we looking at being part of some of their brochures at all? I know they've got a pamphlet out already.
That's always something that we can consider and look into. Right now I'm preparing what we're going to do for next year, so I'm always looking for thoughts or ideas, so that's something I can look into. Right now we're definitely going to advertise in the Elgin tourism guide, and I know that there is a trail assessment happening right now, so there are opportunities, so definitely something to look into.
That would be great, because I was at a meeting yesterday and we were talking about that very thing. You know, we need more info in our trail magazine,
Right.
only because we're almost all connected around St. Thomas now, so thank you.
So next is Google Grants for nonprofit organizations. So the way that this works is just like Google Ads. So when you search something in the toolbar, advertisements tend to pop up within the first or second in the results. So by displaying ads, for what people are searching for, we hope to maybe promote our services further. So if we qualify, we would receive $10,000 a month in kind in US dollars for Google advertising. So this could be for our campgrounds, this could be for our hiking trails. We would be able to create and mix and match kind of advertising that we think would work for the authority. It's completely no cost to us, and all we have to do is be approved by Google. So this is something that I hope to implement come the new year. Next is print marketing. So the education brochure, that we have one right now, but we hope to kind of update it and streamline it so that there's a consistent look among all of our print marketing. The information guide, we hope to work with Elmer Express to secure new ad spaces. So this is something that I'd like to do and work closely with Elmer Express to see if we can bring down the cost of the print guide so that we can continue to do more marketing. The information guide, usually it costs the authority money. So if we work with Elmer Express, I hope to lower the cost, and traditionally 3,500 copies are printed annually and distributed throughout our campgrounds. So it's a great opportunity for businesses in the community to kind of have some more exposure, especially to people that maybe are transient campers that are only here for the weekend or a couple weeks. And finally, the camping brochure. So I hope to make a camping brochure so that we can use in addition to and complement the trail guide. So it'll be a traditional size, and it'll be distributed throughout tourism centers and local businesses. So this will highlight the campgrounds and the opportunities of what you can discover at both Lake Whitaker and Dalewood. So 5,000 copies will be printed, and they'll be distributed to libraries, tourism centers, hotels, and more. And the biggest thing and overarching is that I want to develop a more consistent look and similar look amongst all of our print marketing so that we can develop some consistency on our brand. Next for 2019 is the Elgin Clean Water website. So the smaller picture is what it looks like right now, and then the bottom section is the template of what it'll look like. So 2019 we'll see a migration to WordPress, and then we'll begin to update content and pages. For the campgrounds, I want to introduce some more pictures. So on the right-hand side, you can see the Reserve America, a picture of the actual campsite. To the left is one that isn't updated yet. So hopefully by the end of the season, we'll have all the campsites with images so that when people go to click a campsite, they can open it up and see, this is what I want. So more visual, because it's appealing for them, and hopefully it'll just cause them to book a site instead of calling in to ask more questions. And then to wrap up, 2020 and beyond, we're going to develop a comprehensive marketing strategy that will enhance KCCA's visibility and public awareness with no-cost, low-cost initiatives, similar to the library, looking at opportunities of how we can partner up with other businesses or organizations to bring down the cost of marketing and still be engaging with the public. Develop a signature event to increase public awareness of KCCA's properties and services. Update our corporate identity throughout the organization. So like I said, a consistent look amongst all of our print marketing and digital. And then develop new engagement products to ensure customer and client feedback. So an example of that is this year we did a survey with canoe rentals. So how we can take that and maybe incorporate it into other opportunities. So thank you.
Any questions? Yes, sir. Bill?
Another question, just thanking you for the presentation. It's pretty dynamic, very good, lots of information.
Well done. So our next one is public safety planning and regulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So with Planning Regulations Department, obviously it's a policy department where we review lots of drawings, documents, applications. So I don't really have a lot of fantastic photographs to show the board like the other departments have. But certainly over 2016 to 2018, just a summary of some of the statistics. We've issued 112 permits under Ontario regulation. That includes private development, municipal infrastructure, water course alterations, as well as multi-lot. So the numbers don't necessarily reflect the number of developments because we do issue multi-lot permits for construction plans of subdivisions, which could entail several developments within one permit. We've processed and resolved 10 violations over the last few years. We still have one that has pending trial in 2019. And with the plan input and review program, we've reviewed, commented, and provided input into over 300 planning applications. So just a little statistics of some of the numbers over the last couple of years. I think one of the biggest changes is the passing of Bill 139, Building Better Communities and Conserving Watersheds Act. This has resulted in legislative changes to Section 28. Those are not in place until proclamation by the Lieutenant Governor at a later date, but certainly we're looking at some potential changes to the legislation as it relates to our regulations. So continuing into 2019, we do have a sub-watershed study that's currently being initiated within one of our member municipalities to support future development in an area that hasn't been studied yet. So there'll be some time and commitment of staff to provide data and input into the natural hazard policies that will help guide that development. We also have continuation of compliance of our regulation program, and then we'll be working with Conservation Ontario to implement anticipated legislative requirements as outlined in the CA Act review. In 2019, we have no planned capital expenditures planned. We do anticipate ongoing legal expenses, but again, with regard to compliance of our regulations, and as well as annually allocating some funds to assist with professional assistance in review of controversial applications. When we look at 2020 and beyond with regard to operating, there's always been discussions or consideration of a shared compliance officer. I know some of our neighboring smaller authorities who don't deal a lot with violation matters have retained a third-party inspector with knowledge and expertise to assist with investigations and working through violations. As well, consideration of retaining a consultant or facilitator to assist with public consultation on potential policy updates that we'll be doing in the future, and as well as some consideration to additional administrative support. With regard to capital, we're looking at possibly any potential watershed planning studies that we could be doing to provide data that will inform our decision-making in relations to natural hazard management in the watershed. One thing potentially considering and looking at in the future is revisiting our floodplain mapping, using more accurate DEM and topographic data that we have. So that's basically a presentation on our planning regulations program.
Any questions?
Just on permit number, and I was looking at it at Glenwood Drive in London. How do we kind of get London into our next,
You can see on the map here, the southern portion of London falls within our watershed, south of Scotland Drive. So between Glenworth and Scotland Drive, London is within our watershed. So we're
so they're coming down this way? Oh, okay.
For that one, it's an irrigation pond for an agricultural operation.
Usually they're going the other direction. Okay, thank you very much.
Anything further? Marcel?
Through you, Mr. Chair. With third-party consultation under Section 28, and then if decisions can't be made, you would, or potentially could come to the board for a decision. How does that work? Or is there not a Section 28 item where if the municipality, if the conservation authority and the landowner cannot come to an agreement, he has the option, or the landowner has the option to then come to the board for to speak to the board?
Yeah, so the process in the, with regard to applications, if staff is recommending denial for whatever reason that doesn't meet current policy or there's concerns with satisfying the regulation, before an application can be denied, they're required to have a hearing before the board, and the board acts as a hearing board.
So with the third party, I assume that would be an intermediate step. How does that work with then still going to the board? Is it just another step, or is it?
So you're, in terms of if we retain professional review to return an application?
Well,
Like
so
in the one comment,
if you go back 2 slides, I think
yeah,
it was.
the one comment on third-party consultant, that's to assist as being a facilitator through public consultation on a policy update.
Okay,
Yeah, so
not
someone
specific,
who would walk through the processes of public consultation to assist us in that. But on the other side, we do sometimes get into situations where we need to retain professional review to assist us, but they're just providing recommendations for consideration of the board.
All right,
Final
thank you.
decision.
Thanks for the clarity.
Okay. Anything further? Seeing none, on the 2 work plans then, I guess we should receive. Linda? And Ralph? Anything further? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Great reports. We have our planning and regulations activity report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nothing further to add than what was in your advanced packages, unless there's questions from the members that I can answer.
Any questions on those applications? Seeing none, I need a mover and a seconder. Max and Bill, all in favor? That's carried. Bill, you have one presentation.
This presentation made by staff, I'll maybe turn that over to Elizabeth.
Sure, we can do it now. Obviously, with the results of the election, some of you will not be returning. Others will be perhaps returning as appointees to their municipalities or remain as representatives, citizen appointees of representatives. Usually we would do this at the annual general meeting, but considering people's busy schedules and where they might be in their lives in a couple of months from now, I did want to take the opportunity to just recognize, we had hoped to recognize the chair, but both the chair and the vice chair for their time with the authority over the past couple of years. There's certainly meetings and things that they're involved in beyond just these monthly meetings. The authority is better, and the watershed is better because of the work and effort that both you and Heather Dave have put in over the last couple of years. Heather's been here since 2004, I believe. You've been here for your term this time, but have served on the board for many years prior to that. So what we had prepared for the chair, I'll get the chairs as well. So these are two photos that were taken in the watershed. And just to explain them, the one that we chose for Dave is the headwaters of Lake Whitaker. I think it's suiting since you're at the bottom of the watershed. You can look at the top of the watershed and what you've helped to protect during your time here at the authority. So, on behalf of the staff and the authority, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And for Heather, she was unable to make it today, but this is a gorgeous picture that was taken right up here in the Buck Field. And we thought that was fitting for Heather because these are her stomping grounds. This is basically her home farm, or a view from across the street of her home farm. So another great shot of what of the watershed and the reason why we're all here. And in terms of our board members who won't be returning, we will be planting oak trees on your behalf throughout the watershed in the next season. The oak trees are there for their perseverance and their strength and their beauty on the landscape. So hopefully that is a fitting tribute to your work and efforts for the authority as well. So thank you.
Perhaps on behalf of Heather and myself, thank you very much for these presentations, and for my other colleagues as well who may want to speak. But certainly that is a gorgeous photo, and I'm sure that we'll be able to find an appropriate place at home to hang that up. You're right, it's appropriate, it's the top. It's also where my wife spends a lot of time teaching girl guides on how to canoe. So she's going to appreciate that as well. Our time here has been, in the last 4 years for me, it was 6 years prior to that in the 90s, has been totally enjoyable. The experience that you have on the Conservation Authority is unique, I believe, to all the other agencies that you may be sitting on. It certainly is near and dear to my heart as far as what we do in protecting our environment. So I want to thank all the members here for your support, and we'll carry on. And best wishes in the future for those coming back. Does anyone else wish to speak? Okay. So we need a motion to go into closed session. Ralph? Bill? All in favor? That's carried. Linda? One.
Yes, so I will declare on the, I believe it's the last item you'll be dealing with. Item D.
Yes, there was a verbal, and once you realize,
Yeah,
then you declared.
thank you.
On the first motion, the minutes, I need a mover and a seconder. Ian and Max. All in favor? That's carried. On the second matter, the personnel matter, it'd be
That staff proceed as directed.
a mover and seconder. Ralph and Bill. All in favor? That's carried. On item C, need a mover and seconder for
That staff proceed as directed.
proceed as directed with Linda and Marcel. All in favor? It's carried. And on the last item,
So on item D, in absence of a December full authority meeting, that staff be directed to consult with and rely upon direction from legal counsel for any violation procedures if required, and further that staff report back to the board of directors at its January full authority meeting.
Do you need me to look for that one or not?
you need, yeah, you can't vote on, you declared on this one, right?
Yeah.
Move to accept recommendation.
Bill, seconder? Ralph?
Not gonna make it to the top.
All in favor? That's carried. Go, and is there anything else?
Just a reminder that the December full authority meeting is canceled, and this authority will meet again in January.
Okay, so I need a mover and seconder. Max? Ian?